Good evening to you. Thank you for your company. Hope you had a good day. I've been a journalist for 15 years and have been lucky enough to travel the world reporting on all sorts of stories. But I don't think I've ever been left quite as gobsmacked about a story as I have today. And it takes me a lot to get rattled. A primary school in England has reportedly scrapped Easter celebrations and services in order to respect other religions and diversity. They've cancelled Easter. But get this, they're still celebrating Refugee Week instead. Norwood Primary School in Eastleigh, Hampshire, sent a letter to parents and carers informing them that neither their Easter bonnet parade nor their Easter service would be held this year. The letter explained that this was because of the state school's, quote, respect for diversity. It said, by not holding specific religious celebrations, we aim to create a more inclusive atmosphere that honours and respects the beliefs of all our children and their families. It went on. We understand that this change may be disappointing for some, especially those who have cherished these traditions over the years. However, we believe that this decision aligns with our values of inclusivity and respect for diversity. We are exploring alternative ways to celebrate the season in future years that will be inclusive of all the children and reflects the rich cultural diversity of our community. And unbelievably, the letter added that the school planned to celebrate Refugee Week in June. Yes, Refugee Week. So what do we know about the school? Its latest Ofsted report said the quality of education at Norwood Primary was judged as needing improvement. Inspectors wrote, the school's curriculum is currently underdeveloped. While the school is ambitious for pupils' success, some pupils do not achieve high enough. It went on. Too many pupils do not develop into fluent readers and writers. The school, though, was judged as good when it came to behaviour and attitudes, personal development of children, leadership and early years provision. Tonight, I took a look at the Norwood website. The school says it promotes so-called British values, including democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, mutual respect and tolerance of different faiths and beliefs. I'll repeat that, tolerance of different faiths and beliefs. But I question whether its tolerance of faith extends to Christianity. Because on the website, if you dig a bit deeper, under the Respect of Faiths and Beliefs page, it says, throughout the school year, important celebrations in the lives of our children and school community are marked and celebrated together. These include Eid, Diwali, Christmas and Easter. But it appears Easter's been cancelled, doesn't it? Further down the page, as you can see here on your screen, there are multiple PDF documents about previous assemblies held at the school. Let's go through them, shall we? At the top, we have Year of the Dog, celebrating Chinese New Year. Then the Hindu Festival of Holi, a healthy eating and well-being assembly just beneath that. One for Islam's Ramadan, one for the royal wedding, another Islamic celebration with Eid. Just below that, then giving to charity. There's a China visit, another Hindu festival of Diwali, and finally at the bottom there, the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. I can't see Easter anywhere. Where is Lent? Where is Christmas? Now, I've approached the school tonight and we've asked them for comment and we're still awaiting their response. They'd argue, of course, as I've covered, that this has been done to support inclusion and diversity, but I suggest it seems every faith is tolerated and included, apart from the very faith this country was built on. And I'll be honest, relaying this story to you tonight sparks a range of emotions inside me. There is some anger, there's shock, there's disbelief, but ultimately for me, it's a feeling of sadness. We saw over Christmas in London how previously loved Christmas lights in the main shopping streets, such as Oxford Street, Regent Street, were renamed Winter Wonder Lights and other such nonsense. And I separately reported from a Winter Wonder Market where traders told me they weren't allowed to say the word Christmas. And I didn't hear a peep from the Church of England about the Shrove Tuesday this year. Instead, they did find time, however, to tweet about net zero. I actually feel a sense of grief at what's happening to our country's identity and do often wonder what will be left for my children to recognise when they come to inherit the land I grew up in. But let's get the thoughts now of my panel. Communications advisor and journalist Linda Jubilee, the anarchist and academic Dr Lisa McKenzie, and the former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards. Good evening all. This is a very sad story for me. Normally I'd be a bit fired up by it and, calling it what a disgrace and so on, but in actual fact, I feel a bit defeated tonight, Lisa. I just feel sad that this is happening in our country.
Well, my son was, we lived in a very multicultural area in Nottingham. It was one of the council estates, and there was, everybody lived on it from all different backgrounds. And his school was one of the first. This was in the 90s that did celebrate everything. And I really enjoyed that. I liked that happened. But obviously Christmas and Easter was part of it.
Yeah.
So there was Hanukkah, there was Jamaican sort of summer week. And I really enjoyed that they were doing that. But obviously they did celebrate Christmas and Easter as they were. So I actually agree with you. I think this is a bit sad. I do think this is a bit sad.
There are calls, Linda, for the head teacher who has apparently behind this, they sent the letter out to be sacked. I mean, is this a sackable offence?
I don't know whether it's a sackable offence, but it's incredibly serious if we continually say that this country is a Christian country, that this country lives along Christian values, then you can't possibly cut out what is the most important religious festival in the Christian calendar. It's more important than Christmas. Easter is the really significant one. And to cut it out is utterly ludicrous.
And can I just say as well, I didn't mention in the introduction there, what a bunch of hypocrites banging on about diversity and tolerance of other religions and faiths and communities. You're deliberately excluding Christianity. For what reason, I don't know. You're trying to be some sort of virtuous do-gooder. In actual fact, you're doing more harm than good.
My kids went to a Catholic primary school and they celebrated at his school, where all my children went, all three monotheistic religions. They were all celebrated, they were all marked equally, everyone was completely happy. So I don't understand why you would cut out Easter. It's a really flaky response and it's very, very weak. You can't blame people for worrying about the decline in the Anglican religion.
Come on then, Paul. Are you going to defend this?
No, I'm not.
No.
I think
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Can I say that?
I think it is indefensible. I think the governors of the school need to get involved and just look unearth what has happened here. Whether it was just the head teacher's unilateral decision or not, we need to look at the detail of this. But it's ridiculous, and children should know all the different world religions. They should understand the roots of all of those faiths, and they should have an understanding about liturgy and about theology, and that's a grounding in all these things, so they can go into the world.
But even just the celebration of it. I mean, obviously, I'm an atheist, and I don't care whether it's Easter celebrating rabbits or whether it's celebrating Jesus. I'm not, but it's the celebration and the way that society sort of celebrates different days.
The kids should know what it means, shouldn't they?
So the Year of the Dog isn't even a religious festival. That's that's the Lunar New Year.
Royal weddings.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's where I have no problem with what the schools do, because they're celebrating different, things that are important to lots of different people. And unfortunately now, whenever I hear this word inclusive or inclusivity, I just sort of feel depressed, because I know that...
exactly. Diversity does not mean ignoring things and wiping them out.
When I hear those words now, diversity, inclusion, it just makes me feel depressed, because I know it's not.
Paul, I have to make a defence for the school here, because they haven't, as of yet, got back to us. I have tried calling many governors and so on and so on. No one's got back to us.
They're probably appalled, aren't they? I mean, I bet the governors don't even know about it.
They say... God knows what the parents
think. The parents must be up in arms.
To play devil's advocate, but I have to. They say it's for diversity and inclusion.
But it's the opposite of diversity, isn't it?
That's why I get depressed when I hear those words.
It's a stupid decision.
Because, in the 90s, when my son was at school, when they did this, it wasn't called diversity or inclusion, it was just school.
It's nothing.
Yeah,
it's teaching children nothing.
Yeah, whereas now, because they've given it this name and these titles, it becomes, it becomes sort of tick boxy.
Homogenised.
The kids should know. They should know about the world religions. Millions and billions of people on the planet we worship in these different ways. It's affecting our politics, our everything, the economy.
Why is there...
So they should know about it.
An open question to any of you. Why is there such an open... Is hatred the word? Why is there such an open willingness to try and put Britain down or ignore everything that makes Britain great, our identity?
I don't think they're putting Britain down, but I think what they're doing is virtue signalling. At the end of the day, maybe I shouldn't say this, but there's a reason why Anglican or Christian or Catholic schools score very, very highly. And it is because they are structured, they believe in really tight curriculums, and they have some focus. So I think I don't want to comment on this school's academic performance, but I mean...
Well, you saw the Ofsted report. It was good in terms of behaviour and so on and so on. But the key indicator, quality of education, needs improvement.
Exactly.
Why don't you get your priorities right? Stop banging on about virtue signaling, do-gooder, shunning Easter, Christian holidays. Why don't you start, doing...
I'll tell you what I will defend, though, is Refugee Week. There's no problem with celebrating that and recognising that. One of the core messages of Christianity is about welcoming people. Yeah. So I don't think... I wouldn't counterpose those two things.
Christianity, i.e. the Good Samaritan,
I mean,
and
exactly.
not support refugee.
I'm
but that not instead of Easter.
I'm a Republican, and I wouldn't want I don't want the royal family, but I would still think that you could celebrate, a royal wedding or whatever.
Well, exactly.
Just because I'm a sociologist and I know that days and festivals mean things to society. It doesn't have to have a religious meaning.
It's better than gaming, isn't it? Sitting around and chatting and eating.
So as a sociologist, I understand that celebrating festivals
it's ritual,
is a good
isn't
thing.
it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you shouldn't be celebrating Refugee Week if you're not celebrating it's the biggest Christian holiday
it is.
I agree. In the country.
Totally. Completely. Agreed. There we are.
I mean,
we're fierce in our agreements.
There were some really serious problems in school today, and I was listening to the radio on the way in.
Yeah, teachers.
Well, no, this problem is
Is it because they're millennials?
The problem is smartphones. There was one primary school where 28 of 30 children bought a smartphone.
Yeah, ban them all. Ban them all.
That's a big problem.
Do you know what I think? Is it because school teachers are now millennials? And millennials have obviously got they've got a very terrible sort of view of the world.
Do you know what? I'm not surprised homeschooling numbers have absolutely exploded since COVID. We saw people testing the waters during COVID. They were forced to. And if you look at the figures now, numbers are going through the roof. People not wanting to expose their children to the propaganda, the indoctrination of the education establishment in this country.
I think what parents want is structure. They want to go to a school that has structure.
Well, if you talk to kids, so where I live, I talk to young people, and they hate this stuff. So all this diversity inclusion stuff that's forced on them, they actually, because they're rebellious young people, they actually really dislike this stuff. So I think that it will be the next generation that is rebelling against this.
And do you know what? Just lastly, Paul, before we go on, for me, this is so serious, this story. This example is so serious, and I really fear how many other examples there are across the country. It was only because a parent leaked this letter on Facebook. Probably loads, to be fair. This is so serious for me, and I know he won't, but I'd expect Keir Starmer to say something next week to condemn this.
Well, I think at least the schools minister should look at this, because I think there is an issue about the governance of the school. Well, that's a very good question. You put me on the spot now, but yeah, somebody in that department should have a look.
That's it, education.
Phillipson, Bridget Phillipson.
No, she's the Secretary of State, but I mean the actual schools minister.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to touch on this again in the 10 o'clock hour, because we may get some new viewers at 10 o'clock, and I just want to make sure that everybody in this country is aware of what's going on, so we will be covering this again.